Hello, everyone. Just a quick update that will be starting in 5 minutes or so. So if you need a coffee, go grab it real quick. Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the final European Roadshow of the AAA event. It's the final public dissemination event of the project. It's about to run its course. My name is Erik Vase. I am from the Institute of European Energy and Climate Policy. Together with ABN AMRO, we are the hosts of this final event. We're situated and based in Amsterdam at the ABN AMRO headquarters at the Circle. Together with the majority of the internal project partners, we're in this same room. We have a project meeting scheduled right afterwards. So you see my colleagues on your screens right now. So it's nice to at least have people in person with me for the entirety of the event. So hello, everyone. The agenda is quite packed. There are, I think, 15 speakers lined up in total. It's structured in 3 sessions. First session will be about AAA. The second session will primarily be about ABN AMRO and the Dutch situation. So we've got guest speakers lined up as well for that. And then the third session will be stakeholder perspectives from our advisory board members. There will also be guest presentations coming from our sister projects. These are sprinkled throughout the sessions. There are 2 major breaks, or big breaks, coffee breaks, moments where you can do your emails and you can grab yourself a coffee or go to the toilet real quick. These are at 3 and at 2. And yeah, that's about it. As I said, there's a lot of speakers lined up. We've got a lot of presentations. I encourage everyone to be interactive, ask questions, use the chat, use the hand raising functions. I've asked the moderators to try to moderate this as much as possible and ask the speakers to find natural breaks during the presentation to allow for questions and take questions and make this as interactive as possible in that regard. I think that was it. There are no more housekeeping rules. Yeah, let's make this fun and informal, and yeah, we'll kick things off with the big presentation of the CEO of ABN AMRO, our honored guest, Mr. Robert Swaak. So I hope, Robert Swaak, can you hear me? And I hope you're here.
I can hear you fine. Can you hear me?
We can. Yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, thanks. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me. I appreciate you have a more than full agenda, so I'm going to keep it I'll try and keep it very, very brief. Let me also say this feels like I'm back in a hybrid world again, knowing that there's people live together somewhere, and yet here I am sitting in an office, and we're communicating now via this esteemed channel. Who knew that this was going to be the way forward? But I guess COVID has changed us in many ways. But very happy to be here, and very happy we could go ahead. You know, it's every time when you look at these events, you kind of go back in history, and it is quite a while ago. I mean, we have to go back to the 70s. I mean, it was the decade of the Club of Rome, where the University of Delft in the Netherlands actually came up with 3 guiding principles that still hold true to this day. Principles that have become known as the Trias Energetica, particularly relating to guidance in terms of more sustainable operations. And I think it is important this day and age to kind of revisit what those 3 principles are. You know, it is all about preventing the unnecessary usage of energy. It is very much the use of endless renewable sources. For example, for all the discussions we're having these days around wind, solar energy. It is that type of notion that the use of sources is in itself, if you're going to use the sources, use them when they're realize they're not endless, and use them in an as efficient way as possible. Not only did that become a leading philosophy because of the fact that we had a Dutch member of parliament, Ad Lansink, continue to build on these principles, it did indeed very much become known in the Netherlands as the ladder of Lansink, and an important step to realize and to think about. Even more so today, you know, when we're all talking about the use of renewables, but there is obviously a necessity to look at the actual reduction of the need for energy. And I think even this day and age, I don't think we need to remind ourselves, among the tragedy we're seeing in Eastern Europe, the consequences we now are seeing upon the dependencies on that energy, and how important it is to indeed begin to reduce the need for that use of energy. Now, clearly, as a bank, I'm sure you all know this, I'll emphasize it anyway, we have to continue to facilitate these discussions. It's not so much about stepping away from these discussions, it's being in the midst of these discussions, where we help to improve the energy efficiency, knowing full well that many of our clients chalk up their energy in terms of homes, the buildings they own, and business processes that they have. So we have to do our utmost to stay within the boundaries, the 1.5 degree scenarios we all know so well, but we have to remain engaged with our clients in reducing their need for that very energy. So when you realize that, you know, all of our lending activities, at least not all of our, but at least 2/3 of our lending activities go to corporates and consumers that are linked to homes and buildings, it suffices to say that when you realize at the same time that 40% of carbon emissions can be linked to that environment, that it is hugely important for us as European banks to continue to have these conversations, to continue to ease the way that we finance these operations in order to ensure the efficient use of energy. Now, in my previous life, and I'm continuing this actually to this day, the power of best sharing and collaboration clearly is what got these types of communities ahead of themselves, not only within the community, but also the many stakeholders that are very much affected by this community. And it is particularly the standardization, I think, that we need to continue to search for, because the moment we let the search for standardization evolve and leave it to many others to do the same, we will never get to that uniqueness and uniformness that we're all looking for. So I applaud the work, very much applaud the work, particularly as I started to prepare for this maybe little introduction of the AAA consortium. The tooling that the AAA consortium is right now developing, and certainly as CEO of ABN AMRO, I'm extremely proud, and think it was already mentioned, that we can bring this online conference to you from a very extremely energy efficient circle building that we have in Amsterdam. Not only very sustainable, but certainly in a way we're using the minimum of energy, both in construction, in use and reuse, as the building is ultimately designed to be taken apart and then reused elsewhere. It is really putting in practice what we preach. be efficient about the use of energy, use it as a renewable, and be aware of their scarcity. So with those very few words, I hope you've got a fantastic event, very worthwhile knowledge sharing, and I'm sure that we can all use that knowledge that is accumulated today in the 3 principles that I talked about at the outset of my little talk.
Thank you very much. Well spoken, well heard, and well received. Thank you, and thank you for your hospitality here.
Okay.
Then, without further ado, I'll hand it over to Mr. John Psaras, who will be is the project leader of the AAA project, and will be the moderator for the first session of today's event. Again, thanks again, Robert Swaak. Oh, and one more thing, and this is for formality reasons. We will be recording this session, so your name might pop up in some report somewhere, but that's just formalities. Over to you, John Psaras, and thanks again, Robert Swaak.
Thank you very much. Okay, I would like, to say, let's say that I'm very pleased to be with you. Okay, I'm very pleased also that we had also the CEO of ABN, which proves the commitment, of the bank, which is very important. It was our goal from the beginning. That. So I would say some few words about, let's say, not the project, but just mainly for the laboratory. I'm professor of NTUA, National Technical University of Athens, and I'm director of the Decision Support System Laboratory, which is the AAA project coordinator. Our lab is a multidisciplinary scientific unit within the School of Electrical and Computer Engineering of the National Technical University of Athens, established officially in 1985. Our mission is to provide academic training and carry out research in the areas of management and decision support systems. We address research challenges at the forefront of technological and social and environmental developments in numerous areas of the economy, including energy, climate, transport, health, industry, public administration, and others. Our research aims to support intelligent decisions by explicitly addressing the complexity and the uncertainty inherent in the current dynamic era. Our research portfolio draws and develops methods and techniques from the fields of operations research, multi-criteria decision-making, data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, forecasting, and management. With this scientific orientation, we address research challenges in numerous areas. I am very pleased that we had the opportunity to lead AAA project, a project that was conceived, designed, and implemented in a way to boost the implementation of the energy efficiency investments, so that to provide solutions for the rational use of energy, a very important issue for our planet. The project has been focused on the market needs and the elimination of barriers that hamper the implementation of energy efficiency investments since their conceptualization phase. For that reason, consultation procedures that include interactive engagement with energy efficiency stakeholders have been included within project's activities, collecting valuable feedback on the market's current situation and problems. This feedback has been the cornerstone of the development of the AAA methodology and the respective tools. The information collected, along with the scientific outcomes, such as risk and financing analysis of energy efficiency projects, has been presented in the AAA database on energy efficiency financing, so as to provide lessons learned, best practices, and mitigation strategies to investors and project developers, and build trust among the community. To this end, the project has developed tools to design so that to speak the language of people that do business in energy efficiency projects, support them, and reinforce them with tools that are simplified and easy to use, but based on scientific, well-grounded findings. I will not say more for that project, since my colleague, Dr. Hara Karakosta, who is the AAA project manager, will give us a complete overview of the project. Being at the end of this very successful project, I would like to thank my colleagues first in ABN and IEECP that organized this event. Of course, my colleagues from the lab and all our partners, and of course, all those contributed to the project success. And of course, you who are taking part in this very important event that will give us also, feedback. And of course, to promise that we will not stop the work, but we will do our best to continue the good work in the future. Thank you very much. I will be here with you, and of course I will chair, the first part of the event, but of course I will be with you, for the whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now I would like to give the floor to Dr. Hara Karakosta to give us some overview of the project.
Hello, good evening also from my side. Let me share some slides that I have prepared. I don't know if everyone can see my slides. Okay, thank you. I'm really glad to be here today, and let me thank you all for the acceptance of the invitation and of course your participation today. But a special thanks belongs to ICP and especially to Eric and also Richard from ABN AMRO. Thank you very much for all the strong coordination and efforts that brings us at least this small group of people today here, but bigger one online. So, okay, a new era for events, organizing events. I'm, as Professor John Fraras mentioned, I'm Hara Karakosta from the Decision Support System Laboratory of NTUA that has the pleasure of organizing, of coordinating this event. I will provide a short overview of our AAA project which the full title is Harnessing at an Early Stage the Investment Value Chain of Energy Efficiency Projects. In short, AAA projects assist in security energy efficiency energy efficiency investments that meet their financial commitments. They provide the tools and methodology to assess these investments and benchmark the proposed investment ideas, and assess the involved risk and benchmark the proposed ideas so as to support policymakers and also find the most profitable solution for financiers. The project is carried out under the European Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Programme, has started on 1st of September 2019, has a duration of 33 months. So we are getting to an end. We schedule the completion this month. So the overall budget was 1.5 million roughly, and we have 12 partners involved in carrying out this project, strategically located across EU and also with different backgrounds and experiences, so as to be have complementary roles in the project. We include financing bodies, companies, project developers, policy support institutes, and of course research and academia. What is the AAA scope now? The goal is to bridge the energy efficiency gap by supporting the early stage investment value chain of energy efficiency projects. So the development of the standardized tool and complementary methodology and the tools, and subsequently the energy efficiency investment benchmark test, allows users to effectively assess sustainable energy investments and better integrate energy efficiency in investors and financiers' strategy. By doing so, we like to think that we are mainstreaming energy efficiency investments, and our approach aims to promote investments that have an extremely strong capacity to meet their commitments, identify investments that foster sustainable growth, reduce time and overall effort for investment conceptualization, increase the efficiency and transparency of decision making, and make investing energy efficiency more predictable and therefore more attractive. But where these projects are located, we have 8 countries that serve as case study countries, were selected to promote the diversity of across a number of factors and thereby enhance our project results. These are Bulgaria, Czech Republic, Germany, Greece, Italy, Lithuania, Spain, and the Netherlands. We have focused, as Professor also John Saras mentioned, to the market needs and the elimination of barriers that hamper implementation of energy efficiency investments. So we had an interactive engagement of stakeholders and a stakeholder consultation process involving a series of bilateral, multilateral consultations, structured interviews, questionnaires, workshops, webinars, and all this group of dissemination and communication and stakeholder engagement means to motivate case study key stakeholders and receive the necessary feedback so as to build up our methodology, enhance it, and also result to nice tools. The main challenge remains in identifying which are the AAA investments. So we had a very practical result-oriented approach to seeking to address the challenge and answering the following questions: how to assess the financing instruments and risk at an early stage, how to agree on the AAA investments based on stakeholders on key selected performance indicators, and how to assign the identified investment ideas with possible financing schemes. In particular, so the AAA scheme consists of 3 steps answering each one of these 3 questions. And AAA tools assess energy efficiency investments towards 5 sectors of activities, setting the ground of building, as I mentioned, the investors' financial confidence and providing recommendations from in-country demonstration. More particularly, in the assess tool evaluates the maturity of the proposed investment energy efficiency project ideas and executes the risk assessment. Through the assess tool, we comply also on eligibility and a check of EU taxonomy and criteria, and we have built up a pipeline of 189 energy efficiency financial attractive projects. In step 2, key performance indicators are defined that together agree on what makes AAA investment, and does this on a case-by-case basis. The projects that emerged through the previous step are benchmarked by testing their achievements of these KPIs, financial risks and sustainable development goals criteria. We also used a multi-criteria decision analysis method in order to categorize these AAA these projects into 3 categories. The project ideas into 3 categories: the AAA ones, the reserved and the rejected ones. Of course, the AAA projects were the ones that the KPIs results ranged in a satisfactory value. And when an idea had a poor performance in KPIs, we marked these projects as rejected ones, but tips and methods to increase the performance of these KPIs were provided. We have defined 55 AAA projects here. And finally, in step 3, the assigned step shows how the selected energy efficiency projects could and should be financed in short to medium term. The previous steps determine whether an examining project is feasible and realistic, and what form it should take. In this step, the matchmaking is the matchmaking step between energy efficiency project and possible financial schemes. And here we have elaborated 38 project theses. Also mentioned by Professor John Saras, we have also offered an extensive background information on any science into 88 case study countries through our web-based database, interactive web-based database, where key aspects on energy efficiency finance is included, such as implementation risks of such projects, risk mitigation strategies, preferences of investors in energy efficiency investments, etc. All this data included in the database refer to the 8 case study countries, and now the content is being updated on a regular basis. Data and KPIs reported, as I mentioned, have emerged through a bottom-up procedure incorporating input from stakeholders consultation. Of course, during this journey, let's say that we have encountered some challenges that luckily have been addressed. The majority of the times, the main barriers were caused by impartial difficulties emerged from the nature of the projects, such as confidentiality issues when collecting feedback, lack of data regarding project phases, but also low interest of shareholders sometimes. Due to the pandemic, also this has affected many project activities that with a greater impact on the stakeholder consultation, of course, due to the field of security and the social distancing measures. We have faced that often that stakeholders were very reluctant and difficult to reach. But as I mentioned, we found a way out of all of these challenges faced during the process of implementation. And so we have reached to some meaningful, from our point of view, outcomes that I can summarize. We believe we enhance the investors' interest in energy efficiency projects. AAA rating system, along with the benchmarks and the KPIs, promote assessment and identification of profitable energy efficiency project ideas at an early stage, while facilitate the matchmaking process with related financing schemes. Finally, through targeted policy recommendations, it promotes the European priorities and policy actions on leveraging private funding. Here you may find the links to our tools, the toolbox. They're free, easily accessible, and you just need to create an account, and you may explore and take a peek on our tools. I think I will stop here. Thank you very much for your attention. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Kara. I think that gave us, a very short but very complete overview of the project. And now I would like to ask my colleague in short, of course, the standardized tools of AAA. Philip.
I'm just informed that Philip is experiencing some technical difficulties. So unfortunately, we'll have to move to the next presentation, if that's all right to my colleague on my left. Yeah, sorry for that. I see his computer crashing just now, so these things happen even in the remote webinars, but it's good to see it firsthand this time. So I'll hand it over to my colleague on my left.
Hi everyone, thank you. Everyone hear me right? Okay, perfect.
Yes.
All right. So let me share my presentation. All right. For this section, first let me introduce myself. My name is Adrian. I work for Creara. It's a Spanish consulting company specialized in energy efficiency. So this presentation is about two topics. The first one is to provide some general recommendations for policy framework. And then we're going to describe the main conclusions of the potential strategy that we recently developed. So first, we're going to start talking about the policy framework and recommendations. This is a work that was carried out by most of the partners at the national level, and some views or conclusion about the policy framework of each national market was obtained. And with all that views, we also obtained some general perspective about this, about the policy framework in energy efficiency. The first one is that the member states right now are seeking to reduce their external energy dependence. This affirmation was extracted even before the Ukrainian invasion, so even right now is even more important to reduce this external energy dependence. Right now in Europe, the countries with more stable economic conditions are the front runners in this process. And right now they're going a massive transformation towards the renewable energies and sustainability. But of course, others countries, let's say not so economically developed, are also starting to realize that this is the way, and started to pay attention on the energy efficiency and embracing the green transition. In all the countries that we studied, there's a large number of financing schemes for energy efficiency renovations. But the main problem that we detected is that there's a lack of standardization in all processes prior to financing. That makes it difficult and expensive to finance energy efficiency project in particular. And the last conclusion on this is that the largest group of projects that it was identified, this was a trend for all the partner countries, was energy efficiency project in the building sector. Once we described this policy framework, we elaborated some general recommendations that from the AAA project, we think it could improve the energy efficiency sector in general, because there's a lot of energy efficiency financing opportunities that don't get financed or have a hard time getting financed, and this is basically due to structural barriers in the sector. So as I said, we elaborated the following recommendation. The first one is that misleading national regulations should be amended to avoid situations of uncertainty that create bottlenecks and make the energy efficiency project not so attractive for financial institutions. As I just said, the standardization of procedures, of course, can strengthen the trust between developers and funders and make the pre-financing processes cheaper. Of course, it is important to mainstream and use new financial tools that are specific to the energy efficiency sector, such as the AAA platform. Also, we think that we should give priority to energy efficiency investment, particularly in the industry and building sector, because they have a greater potential to achieve energy savings and to produce an impact on the CO2 emissions. Some more policy recommendations. Of course, the adoption of the EU taxonomy and the ESG criteria is expected to become a driver for investment in the energy efficiency sector and to push private investment towards the sustainable projects. Another thing that was detected is the aggregation of energy efficiency projects, especially when they are small and don't have a big financial needs. It's important for financial institutions because it makes the offer bigger and it makes it more attractive to banks or funds. And for us, the unified creditworthiness system will drastically simplify and speed up the necessary upstream processes for the financing of process. So to sum it up a little bit, we need straightforward legislation and such as the EU taxonomy or ESG criteria that pushes investment through to sustainable projects. And we need more standardization of pre-financing processes, of a financing scheme, etc., that makes energy efficiency projects more attractive to financial institutions. So this is there was the first part of the presentation. The second one is the exploitation strategy. This was one of the last tasks to be achieved in this project, and it had the three main blocks that had to be addressed. The first one was that we need to identify the project outcomes with the greatest potential to succeed in the sector, to center on those and specifically make business models that can allow the financial sustainability of the platform AAA platform in a balanced way. And for last, we needed to design an integration strategy for the AAA database and tool. This actually means that to define how AAA how AAA has to interact with their ecosystem and with the energy efficiency sector in general once the project is finalized. To complete this task, we use the key exploitable results methodology. That is a specific methodology that allows to extract what outcomes of the project are better prepared for their market. So here are the results of this strategy. The first thing we did was to select the most promising results of the project. This actually was easier than expected because all this project has been centered around the AAA platform that is composed of the AAA standardized tools and the AAA database. They are the main outcomes of this project, and the exploitation strategy was centered on these two, on the tools and the database. Then the first important decision we took was to exploit the platform jointly, so as it was done through the project, and to monetize how to make this platform financially sustainable on the long term. We decided that the best way was to raise the funds from the tools, that is the part of the platform that gives a specific service to the public, and then allow the free and open use of the database, because we thought that the information that it contains should be free and open to everybody, and also that the free and open use of the database could attract clients or users to the tools. There was an open option that it was to place some related ads on the database, but that would be depending on the financing needs of the AAA platform. And the third part of this strategy, that was the integration strategy. We checked and we tested the results, and we realized that the outcomes we defined were aimed to be of maximum utility to all stakeholders in the sector, and that it had to be, and it was how it was designed. And for us, that in this task also it was tested how the interoperability capability of the AAA platform was. And this was tested successfully by transferring a big number of projects from the AAA platform to the platform without any problem, because the information needs and the data inputs were almost the same for both platforms. So we think we achieved this, we completed this task successfully. And that's all on my side. If any of you, of course, have any doubts, now is the moment. Thank you very much for your attention.
And thank you, Adrian, for your presentation.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. Philippus is.
Yeah, I just he switched computers to my colleague, yes. Catherine, but he had a crashing computer, and he managed to switch to another PC.
In a very short time. Okay, that's very good.
Yeah, the advantage of being together.
Bravo, Philippus.
Hello from me also.
We are hearing you.
The bad things happened in the worst moments, as usual, but we are here now, and I will present the AAA methodology and the tools. Let me share my screen. One second. Okay, I guess now that you can see my screen. So I'm Philippos Mexis. I'm a AAA collaborator. I'm from the National Technical University of Athens. My presentation will be themed and focused on the added value, the tools that have been developed, the methodology and the environment, and also the results of the benchmarking process and the lessons learned. In total, the AAA, the project, provides a clear methodology for identifying financially attractive investments which fulfill the technical screening criteria of the European taxonomy. A handy set of tools has been developed for the preliminary assessment of the critical technical and economic risks associated to different types of energy efficiency investments, and at the same time, a useful ranking of these investments according to the financial and technical performance criteria has been tailored to the user needs of preference through a very specific stakeholder consultation, which has been designed since the project elaboration. And also, finally, a matchmaking capability of the energy efficiency investments with potential investors and appropriate financing mechanism has been developed. So the AAA tools are three: the assess tool, the agree tool, and the assign tool. The first tool, the assess tool, it's focused on the risk assessment and the EU taxonomy compliance. The second tool, the agree tool, it's focused on the EU on the benchmarking of energy efficiency projects into three main classes: the AAA class, the reserved class, and the rejected class. And the assign tool is a multi-dimensional platform which connects project developers and financiers in order to facilitate the funding institutions to find projects and fund this kind of projects in increasing energy efficiency across Europe. In detail, the AAA tools have been developed in the Python 3 programming language from a framework which is called Django. We use a high-end database frameworks such as the SQLite. You can find our tools in the link shown on the screen. And as my colleagues previously said, we have performed interoperability with several platforms such as the EFIC TIP platform, the AAA database on energy efficiency financing, which is a separate website promoting risks and content regarding energy efficiency projects. Also, we have incorporated the UNIDO risk assessment framework in the tools. We have links with indicators that refer to the sustainable development goals of the European Statistic Corporation, and the calculations of the tools are based on Eurostat official statistics. So the assess tool, it's a EU taxonomy eligibility criteria tool which calculates the investment's total risks, and through this tool we have realized a pipeline of more than 100 energy efficiency financially attractive projects. The AAA sectors and the categories, as has been designed, they match the technical screening criteria of the EU taxonomy, while a comprehensive analysis of the EU taxonomy eligibility has been presented to investors in order to receive their feedback. Finally, the energy efficiency financially attractive projects have been collected into a pipeline. In details, the AAA sectors, it has been 5 sectors: the building sector, the manufacturing sector, the energy district sector, the transportation sector, and the other lighting. Within these sectors, we have a very big list of activities and retrofits regarding energy efficiency that are included. You can find all this information in our main website. I will not stress the information now in order to save time for the main concept. So the risk assessment of the assess tool is the aggregation of the identified risks and also the credit risk of the borrower or financier. Then we have the EU taxonomy compliance check, which is an interface of the EU taxonomy compliance checklist, which incorporates all EU taxonomy activities, and it has some questions parameterized on the project sector of the project. And then we proceed to the agree tool, which identifies the AAA projects. It uses economic, sustainable development goals, co-benefit, and aggregated risk criteria. And within this step, we have 55 AAA projects which have been identified. The criteria, the economic criteria, has been co-designed with the stakeholders In details, it's the avoidance cost, the net present value, the discounted payback period, the internal rate of return, the aggregated risk, and an aggregated indicator that refers to the sustainable development goals. The categorization is being performed into three classes: the AAA class, the reserved, and the rejected class. Here, I have some information regarding the classes. The AAA projects are the ones that have an extremely strong capacity to meet their energy saving targets already from the conceptual phase. In the reserve class, we include some profitable but not great projects. These projects have a good but not an outstanding performance in the multi-criteria decision analysis criteria. And there also we have some rejected projects. We have an unsatisfactory total performance in the examined criteria, but we have worked together with stakeholders to give them tips and how to increase the performance of the KPIs of these projects. Finally, all these benchmark projects are passed into the assigned tool, which is a multidimensional platform which focuses on achieving the matchmaking between bankable energy efficiency projects and the financing schemes. Overall, the assigned platform formulates the pathway to be followed by involved parties in order to achieve the project delivery, including contracts, underwriting procedures, and other details that has to be settled. The targeted beneficiaries are the financing bodies and the energy efficiency companies and the project developers that need to find capital to implement their projects. In the assigned platform, the green loans, the green mortgages, the green bonds, and the energy efficiency auctions are all incorporated. So the users can search the pool of projects that are available in the assigned tool. They can view analytic data and select to send financing proposals to the project developers. They can find projects to aggregate and create a portfolio of projects, and also they can communicate with project developers in order to proceed to issuing a green bond. The functionalities of the assigned tool also is that the users can view the financing proposals that have been sent by investors. They can get notified and access the list of the projects that have been selected by investors, and they can explore green bonds that have been uploaded to the platform and they are available in the database in order to invest and buy these bonds to finance energy efficiency projects. So our tools are accessible. They are open access. You can just register, log in, and utilize the tools. And also the AAA database on energy efficiency financing in the links presented on your screen. And I will present you briefly some results regarding the utilization of the tools, because we have 170 projects that have been entered into the first step, the assess tool. Some of them, a big amount, has proceeded to the finalization of the benchmarking. 119 projects have been finalized the benchmarking, and we have a 43, almost 43% of AAA projects identified in the AAA tools. These projects mainly are from Lithuania, then Bulgaria follows. And regarding the project sectors, the building sectors has been the primary sector of the project that have been entered into the tools. We have a very big amount of numbers regarding the expected reduction of CO2 emissions of the tools that have been entered into the projects that have been entered into the tools. The majority, of course, is from the building sectors, because we have the majority of the projects from that sector, and from the country of Lithuania. Then we have some statistics regarding the energy savings that will be performed from the project that have been entered into the tools. Here also, the building sector is the main sector, and we see that the main savings are regarding electricity, and then natural gas follows. In total, the building sector reflects a total amount on 162 cost in million euro, a total investment cost. Mainly, we have a very high investment cost of projects in Spain and the Netherlands. I will explain in the later slides what does that mean. And also the EU taxonomy compliance of the projects. We have seen that project developers have been taken care of in order to achieve the criteria of the EU taxonomy, and the majority of the projects are compliant already with the taxonomy criteria. And here I have some KPIs regarding the projects. I will skip. I will focus on the net present value. The main investment cost has been in Spain with the district energy networks. These projects have a very high total investment cost because they're infrastructure projects. And also many projects in Germany have been in the building sector, and they have included the total cost of the renovation. They have not isolated only the energy efficiency cost. That's why some indicators have a different outputs than we could expect. Generally, the net present value, some projects have been negative net present value for that reasons, but also we had a AAA project with very high net present value, which has been discounted based on the cost-benefit analysis of the European Union on the percentage that it's suggested. And I will proceed to some conclusions. So although the majority of the projects in the AAA tools are compliant with EU taxonomy, some stakeholders have declared that it's not widely used yet, as it should be. Also, there is a significant impact on the profitability of energy efficiency investments and uncertainty about the estimated cash flows of energy efficiency projects that emerged from the fluctuating energy crisis that we all face the recent months. Also, policy making should steer towards the standardization of project design to make the energy efficiency projects replicability easier, because the replicability is a key element in order to increase the number of projects. The standardization could be achieved by establishing a common and even a pan-European framework of energy efficiency project fees, and also energy efficiency project benchmarking and underwriting procedures. The added value that has been given to stakeholders by the development of the tools and the total procedures of the AAA project and the stakeholder engagement is that it substantiates the financial performance of the promising energy efficiency project ideas. And for investors, they help to gain confidence, identify the eligible project ideas according to the preferences in specific criteria. In total, the AAA tools increase the credibility and leverage energy efficiency projects. It's a user-friendly benchmarking tool, which is comfortable and not time-consuming, which is very important for the financing sector. And it also incorporates valid KPIs and standardized calculation parameters. Finally, the replication of projects, either in terms of financing or in technical solution, is highly desired. Similar projects allow project developers to demonstrate the proof of concept, to promote them as a product in total, and overall minimize the development cost. Another significant instrument that has probably assisted the energy efficiency project financing is the project aggregation. Aggregation of projects seem to be more critical than other issues, as it has a positive impact on risk assessment and could provide economies of scale. And finally, building confidence between project developers and investors is critical for the implementation and the decision-making of energy efficiency project. Thank you very much for your attention. I'm sorry for any technical difficulties that have emerged. So I guess now that we could proceed to the next phase of the event, and then we'll be always here to answer your questions, or you can communicate with us through email or through our social media accounts. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Philip, also for your presentation and for your readiness, to alleviate the problem. Okay, thank you. Now we have Mrs. Alice Korovesi. We have one more presentation to finish, the first part of the first session of the event. A presentation by Mrs. Alice Korovesi and John Soldatos, with title, AAA synergy projects. They are from synergy projects that promote also energy efficient investments. Let's hear, they're also their experiences. So I don't know who is going to present, Alice, John, or both, whatever. You have the floor.
I think ladies first, Professor Salas.
Okay, John. Okay.
Thank you, John. Thank you both. Let me first share my presentation. Can you please confirm that you can see?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you. So, greetings from my side as well. I'm Alice Korovesi from INZEP, Greece. And thank you for sharing with you the final roadshow, the AAA roadshow. It's a pleasure to be here. And of course, it's a pleasure to present also the SMAFIN project, which is a synergy project with AAA. And so far, we have a long-lasting relation and exchange of on various topics. I think it's something more than 2 years. So let me share a few things about SMAFIN and the allocated time that I have. The coordinator of the project, of SMAFIN project, which is an Horizon 2020, is Kres from Greece, while the partners are INZEB, the organization that I represent today, NFECT from Bulgaria, Regea from Hungary, NRO and Cluster Pro NZEB from Romania. At a glance, SMAFIN project is a 3-year project. It commenced on September 1st, 2020, and the primary goal is the constructive dialogue and connection of smart financing with energy efficiency projects, and of course involving in this domain stakeholders from governmental, financial, enterprise and academic sectors. What we have as a reference as a project is the Sustainable Energy Investment Forums. We are considered to be the continuation of the SAFEs, and our main aim is to create a complete roundtable methodology to be implemented in the 4 participating countries that I have already mentioned: Bulgaria, Croatia, Greece and Romania. Our concept, the SMAFIN concept, relies on the creation of the permanent discussion forums, and what we discuss in these forums is about energy efficiency investments, highlighting, of course, the buildings and how we can enhance the investment in buildings, while at the same time we're also talking about infrastructure, industry, and SMEs. And what we do is we want to advance a cross-fertilization between the key stakeholders. Of course, I already mentioned the dialogue and to upscale the existing best practices at national and European levels, and also to further develop the energy policy measures with a focus on the creation of new market initiatives. Our main objectives as a project is the capitalization of the results of the Sustainable Energy Investment Forums. In addition, the deployment of energy efficiency investment recommendations. The project partners, SMAFIN partners, will develop national recommendations, and this is something foreseen for the last year of the project, which will start in September 2022. In Greece, just to highlight, we have already started the concept of the recommendations that we will submit to various stakeholders, and of course the Ministry of Energy and Environment included. Moreover, we want to link the supporting initiatives and stakeholders that are focused on energy efficiency investments. This is our main topic, and this is what we're trying to do, to link all the supporting initiatives and of course bringing the stakeholders in one table to discuss on how we can enhance the investment era in sustainable energy efficiency financing, while at the end we want to deliver impact beyond the typical duration of the project. And this is actually what the European Commission's aim is. About the project priorities that we have at EU and national levels, let's see first the EU levels. It's the promotion of SMAFIN in supporting and implementing smart financing, building innovation, to support also the increase of the renovation rates across the European Union with energy efficiency standards. Now we have also to consider the energy crisis and what is happening now. So our job is a little bit advanced, and also the priorities and the priority we have also the implementation of the EU energy policies. At national levels, we want to familiarize national stakeholders and all energy professionals with SMAFIN aims and objectives, of course bringing also also all the legacy that we have from the Sustainable Energy Investment Forums is to enrich a little bit the awareness about the benefits of energy efficiency renovation in buildings, in industry, and of course the SME sectors, while at the same time we want to upgrade the connection between the renovation of buildings and the quality of life. Of course, bringing awareness of the national legislative frameworks is also among our core priorities. Let me show you something more about the SMAFIN project. What we have to do during the 3-year period that we have is to organize 3 national roundtables focused on energy efficiency investments in each one of the 4 participating countries, while at the same time we are organizing 6 working group meetings. We have the support of various stakeholders, so we have formed working groups. AAA is among the working group members. Dr. Kara Costa is contributing to the discussions that are taking place. So that's why we're talking about synergies today. But also we want as an activity is to design also and to establish the SMAFIN permanent national roundtable in the 4 participating countries. So at the last year of the project, starting from September and onwards, we need to work towards, and of course, the ideas and the contribution of the working group members is also included, is how those roundtables will have a permanent dimension apart from being, let's say, finalized by the end of 2023. So far, what you can find at the SMAFIN website is the results of the first national roundtables that took place in 2021. In the fact sheets, we have captured the main conclusions and the main facts as those have been derived from the national stakeholder meetings that happened in the 4 participating countries, while the second round of the national SMAFIN roundtables took place just 1 month ago. You can see here that in Bulgaria, it was on the 16th and 17th of March 2022. In Croatia, 13th and 14th of April 2022. In Greece, it was 14th of April, while in Romania, it was on the 12th of April. You can see here that even though some of the topics that have been discussed during the roundtables, we have some differentiation, since this is because of the national priorities and the national context. The main priority of the discussion is about enriching and enhancing energy efficiency investments. In the coming months and by the end of June 2022, you will be able to download from our website, the smafin.eu website, the fact sheets that will present the main findings of the second round of the national roundtables. So you will be able to be aware of what was discussed in the 4 participating countries. I hope I was short and concise. You may find the SMAFIN project in social media and, of course, in our website, smafin.eu, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Thank you very much, Alice. And now I will give the floor to Mr. John Sordatos, who will present us his experience from his own project, Infinitetech. You have the floor.
Very much, Professor. I hope you can see my slides.
Yes, we see.
First of all, I would like to thank you for the opportunity for presenting Infinitetech, and also I would like to say that we really had a great collaboration with AAA project during the last month. So I'm gonna briefly discuss Infinitetech and also refer to our collaboration with AAA. So Infinitetech is actually a flagship project. It's a very big project, over 20 million budget and 46 partners, including banks, financial organizations, regulators, fintechs, but also integrators of IT solutions, covering the entire spectrum of artificial intelligence and big data applications in digital finance. So this includes, as you probably imagine, this includes assessment of investments and data-driven techniques, for trading and investments. We are not so much focused on energy efficient investments. However, we have interest on how we can use data and analytics and artificial intelligence to construct portfolios and assess the risk for different types of investor profiles. Just to say, Infinitetech is a project which is running already for 30 months. So we started in 2019. So we've got already a wealth of results. So we've got 15 pilot systems that are already deployed in banks and financial institutions. We've got blockchain solutions, not crypto, but how we can use decentralization to the benefit of applications in the digital finance sector. And we've got a marketplace where we have a great deal of solutions covering all aspects of digital finance, lending, credit risk assessments, personal finance management, and investment recommendations, anti-money laundering, fraud detection. So I would really dare to say the entire spectrum of artificial intelligence applications in digital finance. We've got also a virtualized digital innovation hub where we give innovation support to fintechs and to small, medium enterprises in the forms of trainings, innovation support, access to finance opportunities, and so on. Now, these results are part of our marketplace, and you can access most of these solutions for free by accessing the marketplace and logging in. We are delighted to host also two solutions of the AAA project. So in a sense, our marketplace serves also as a promotional channel or as a dissemination channel for AAA, and we are very happy to do this hosting and to have this collaboration with AAA, which fall in the broader area of risk assessment for investing. And now we recently published, actually 1 week ago, we published an open access book published from Springer Nature. It's open access, it's free, so you can really download it. Already has attracted a lot of interest, so you can find the link in the Infinitetech site to read this book and see consolidated all the solutions that we are developing. And the best, we also had a very interesting joint workshop actually on the 5th of April, so 1 month ago, where we met with AAA, and we discussed the future of risk assessment in different types of investments, where AAA contributed their perspective on the energy efficient investments, energy efficiency investments, and we expanded that discussion into ECG investing, which is also trending, and we had quite interesting stakeholders feedback. This workshop is available in the AAA YouTube, but also in the Infinitetech YouTube channel, and whoever is interested can access the recording and view what was said that interesting day. So the best way to collaborate with us is to get in touch with us is to subscribe to our newsletter, to our YouTube, most importantly to our marketplace, where you can find a wealth of assets and solutions. So that's all from my side. As a final remark, I would like to thank AAA for today's opportunity, but also for the collaboration we had during the past months. We started quite late, but it was really very interesting and it was really very fruitful. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, indeed. And thank you very much also as AAA project coordinator for our collaboration. Now we approach the end of the first session. Actually, okay, we are, let's say, 6 minutes late, let's say but okay, it's okay. So I propose to have the break. Okay, let's have the complete break. I mean, let's extend, let's say, 5 minutes more. I mean, okay. So we will be back at 3:20. Okay. Hara.
My mic is off. Yes, just I have a small question, if I may, to Alice Korovesi. Since I would like, I don't know if she is hearing us, I think she's in, but I would like to ask what is their experience towards the transferring of their messages to from the roundtables and stakeholders' views and national priorities to the governmental stakeholders and to representatives from the regulatory agencies. Since we have the same exercise to solve, so I would like to know how they reach them, and perhaps what is their experience with that. Did they they convey the right messages to the right persons, and how this was done? If you can share at least some views.
Yes, if you can just repeat, Hara, the first part of the question, because I had some kind of disconnection and I missed that part. I just heard my names. I only heard my name. And okay, sorry.
What was your experience by delivering and transferring all the messages from these roundtables, the national roundtables, to governmental and regulatory representatives, policy stakeholders, policymakers? Do they? It was what was the approach you followed, and what was the experience with conveying all these messages and all these priorities emerged from these two rounds of roundtables?
Okay, I can speak with a more concrete way about Greece, but the same happens and applies to the other 3 participating countries. We are examining prior the establishment of each roundtable. We are examining the national priorities, and as you know, and as we all know, everything is under development now because, you know, when the proposal was submitted, we didn't have COVID, so we had to change everything, and following also the COVID rules and the new dimension of the pandemic. Then the energy crisis happened. So again, the priorities have changed. So we need to connect every time, and we need to examine and monitor what is happening in the national legislation. Nowadays, as a priority, we also have the national recovery and resilient plans, which was not part of the proposal when we had submitted to the European Commission. So again, it needs a lot of work to be fully informed about what is happening at national levels, what are the priorities, and what are the priorities that each of the participating country sets. But also we need also to examine how we are aligned with the EU priorities, not only about the Green Deal, but also the Repower EU and everything that is happening at the moment. So I think it's not an easy process, but at the other, it's not so much difficult because all organizations that are participating in SPAFIN project have a good and long-lasting relation with the governmental parties, ministries in our case, but also we have the support of various other organizations and stakeholders that they are in the energy system. So it's easy to discuss and it's easy to prioritize what the discussion will be and what our recommendations will be. So far, we have not, as I mentioned, concluded with the recommendation that each of the participating country will submit to their governmental bodies. This is something that will happen from September 2022 and onwards. From our side in Greece, since we have started this work, I can say that a priority is the development of the one-stop shop for building innovation, because it's a priority here in our country that we want to boost the energy efficiency rate and the energy efficiency status of the building. So this is going to be our priority for the recommendations. In any case, having good relations with the governmental bodies and other stakeholders, it's easy to discuss and to proceed further to, let's say, somehow contribute to reaching the targets that the governments have set.
Thank you, Alice. Yeah, because we have the same more or less exercise to solve in a very strict timeline, and I know this exercise is very difficult, and thank you for sharing. Thank you.
Okay, so we can have our short break right now. Okay.
Correct. Thanks, everyone. Keeping an eye on the time and on the agenda, I propose to reconvene at 14:20, so 20 minutes past 2. Yeah, stick around. The next session will be of ABN AMRO together with Martin Moy and Bram Adema, running the show again from Amsterdam here. So see you back in 9 minutes. Go grab a coffee. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed a brief break and is ready to start again with the session number 2. Welcome everybody. My name is Richard Kolos. I'm heading up Group Sustainability at ABN AMRO, one of the participants of the project. The focus of the next 45 minutes is going to be on energy efficiency in the built environment. And the reason is that basically the double materiality of for us, and I think for many European banks, because there's a lot of real estate financed by banks. So there's a lot of real estate on the balance sheet. There's a lot of carbon emissions connected to that real estate, but also banks can have a really significant impact on reducing the carbon emissions, i.e. Making sure that the energy efficiency of those buildings is improved. So there's a double materiality. And in order to tackle this problem, which is for us, for example, 2/3 of all the loans to the real economy are connected to real estate, so it's really big, and that's why we're also looking for big solutions. And in order to tackle that, we're looking therefore for solutions that are easily scalable. And digital approaches have a tendency of being easier to scale than approaches that require a lot of man hours. And that's why we've asked our partner, corporate facility partners, with whom we have been working since 2015. To present their data-driven approach and also their journey from a man-hour run company to a data-driven company. So with that, I'd like to hand over to Bram Adema, who's sitting right next to me. And after Bram, we're going to have a session with the Dutch Green Building Council, and Martin is representing that, and also their kind of digital approach to tackle this problem. But first, let's hand over to Bram.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, everyone. It's a great honor to present here. I started CFP Green Buildings in 2005, and at the time, no one was really interested in reducing carbon or even energy. It's almost impossible to imagine now. The only way that we could sell our consulting services was by promising cost reductions. And this was a very valuable lesson, because the first 10 years of the company we were just selling cost reduction and doing this with maintenance budgets. And it's still the fact that if you want to invest over €1 million in the Netherlands for making buildings net zero, you will still need to be financially profitable. So it was an important lesson that we learned then. Now, the first 10 years of the company, we had a very vulnerable business model. I know you must all notice that when you're consultants or when you're selling your services, that the business model itself is very vulnerable, in the sense that it's not scalable. Your men and women cost €1,000 per day, and your clients may want everything for free or do it even themselves. Well, in our situation in 2012, we were improving over 2,000 buildings per year, which sounds like a lot. We were a good consulting firm, but with BREEAM, with LEED, with energy, 2,000 buildings really wasn't enough. You can imagine that in the Netherlands, there are over 1 million commercial buildings and over 8 million houses. And we were thinking we might as well close our company. We might as well shut the doors, because what is 2,000 buildings? How can you even make a dent in the real impact that we need to make? So somewhere in 2012, we decided to start empowering our clients rather than helping our clients. In fact, we were the bottleneck for sustainability in the Netherlands. And of course, at the time, internet was already big, and internet companies like Amazon and like every other big e-commerce was growing like at an enormous scale. And we said we need that growth. But at the same time, we were sort of afraid that if we would start selling our consulting services through the internet, through self-help, we might destroy our company at the same time as trying to build it up. we decided to really go that way because we wanted to make an impact. And we decided that the only way was to empower everyone to make their own buildings sustainable. ABN AMRO was one of the first clients that started in 2015, and really something surprising happened. Let me share my screen. We decided to change the algorithms that our consultants were using to put them online and to package them in such a way that you wouldn't need a sustainability background or a university degree to make your own building sustainable. So the first 6 to 8 weeks of consulting were suddenly gone. They were automated. Now, ABN AMRO Bank introduced 80,000 buildings to this tool for something like 25,000 clients. ING Bank did the same for 30,000 buildings. So suddenly we were opening our consulting to over 100,000 buildings. And what happened was that these clients suddenly had insight into their sustainability improvements and to the investment business case by themselves, just by entering a postal code of their building and by the address. The bank would help them with money. Some of the banks even sponsored their clients buying accessory services if they needed, and they sponsored with green loans and with the discounts on the interest rate. Now, currently in the Netherlands alone, 400,000 buildings are using the tool. We have exported to the UK with HSBC and Lloyds Banking Group with over 100,000 assets. We're introducing the tool in Belgium this year. And an Australian bank has just given us the order for starting in Australia. Together with a large real estate service provider, we're also introducing in the US as well. Now, the reason why sustainability may start at best with carbon, we all know that sustainability and carbon are only one of the aspects. Biodiversity is a much bigger issue. But since 190 countries have adopted these carbon goals, this is a really good starting point. And at the same time, we also know that carbon reduction can be very profitable if you do it with the right investment budgets. So this is why we think that it's important that everyone can adopt this and that everyone is empowered to do so. Like I said, this is what happened in 2005. We started improving buildings, building per building. And then now we're doing over 400,000 buildings. Recently, we have entered 1 million buildings worldwide, and we can now say that it takes $17 trillion to make every building in the world net zero. I would like to take you to the tool, and so that you can see it yourself. And the reason why I want to show you is that it's not so much that you should use this tool, but it shows how easy it is to empower people who are not sustainability experts. Now, we call this the CEO overview, and this is a portfolio of 106 buildings. We can add buildings at this very moment in everywhere in the world, and the only other thing that you need apart from the address is the floor area, the asset category, and the size of the build and the age of the building. So these 4 characteristics give a 90% accuracy over the business case of improving this building from an energy point of view. Now, when we scroll down, of course, the tool uses benchmarking from over 300,000 other buildings as reference buildings to estimate the business case. We empower facility managers, tenants, but even people who own a house to put in their own data, to add some of the data, not very detailed data, and then make their business case even more detailed and accurate. To the left here, you recognize these measures and these investments. The difficulty is if you invite a consultant to your building, that they always come at the wrong time. Either you have already replaced something with a non-sustainable part, or it's not time yet to replace. The reason that this works is that you have this shopping list, a long list and a short list for free and straight away. And whenever the maintenance comes up, you know what your business case is. You can talk to your bank, you can talk to your tenant, you can talk to your contractor. And now we see all kinds of stakeholders using this tool. Now, in this CEO overview, you can see that if you implement the business case on the top right, 92% is green. Now, when banks work with us, they put in their entire portfolio. They can put in 80,000 or 250,000 buildings, and the tool will tell them which assets are at risk and should be improved, because they could become a financial risk as well as an impact risk. But they can also see the green assets, and the green assets can be refinancing green bonds and making a revenue stream for the bank. So on the 1st of January of every year, all these banks that work with us have recovered their cost on the first day already. And then they start issuing new green bonds, and they start doing this as marketing to their clients. Now, how does this work? The top left here is the business case, of course, with annual savings and an investment. This is a 2.2 million square meter floor area, so it's a relatively big asset portfolio. When we look at the assets, we can do several filters, of course. We can look at the different property types. We can look at different years of construction. We could look at this floor area, but of course, there's also a carbon score. Now, in the European Union and also countries that use the European Union, the EU directive, you can see the EPC, or the Energy Performance Certificate. In other countries, we've translated this to the carbon score, which is basically the carbon footprint per square meter times the floor area. Now, we can look at these buildings from several insights, but we can also go to one of these buildings. Now, this building is an industrial building, and the current carbon score is a G. In the US, you would use Energy Star. In the EU, we would use EPC. Now, this is really an automated consultant. So this is the characteristics of the building. And when you look at these technical data, roof insulation, LED lighting, replace windows, there's a status here, and the status can be changed by anyone. So anyone who knows a bit about the building can say there's roof insulation. So let's say that we add roof insulation to the business case to be implemented in this year. It's a 290,000 investment. Annual savings are relatively low for insulation. And here at the top, it has gone from a D to a C, and we can also see how many tons this is, and we can see the business case. So usually, if you would do an analysis like this, it would take you a couple of weeks and a few thousand euros for a building this size. Now you can do this the same as like booking your trip to Bolivia. You can just evaluate different countries. You can evaluate different hotels without ever leaving your seat. You can even talk to your tenants or talk to your bank and say, well, what if we do solar panels? We can maybe, this is a very large industrial place, but maybe we say, let's make 500 square meters of solar cells, save, and then we have this business case completed. So here on the top, we have a 600,000 investment now, a 60,000 annual savings. We can also look now at the timeline of this building. So there's a roadmap towards greening, and here you recognize these investments that were being scheduled before. And we can see what it affects us on the carbon score. We can see the effect on the annual savings or on the carbon reduction. Now, if we scroll down, of course, these can be beautiful graphs. But what is even more handy and what's more important, that if we go to all buildings, if we look at the roadmap for all these buildings, we can do the same for an entire portfolio. And it doesn't really matter if it's 10 buildings or if it's 100,000 buildings. This could be the timeline of an entire bank or of a large asset manager like BlackRock. What we're hoping to do is invite you and is maybe inspire you to do the same. And let me stop sharing my screen. So let's see. I'm on your bottom right. We hope to inspire everyone. Our next 3 steps is making digital twins of every building on Earth. Because if we had digital twins, we really wouldn't have to send anyone to buildings anymore. So the metaverse for buildings and homes is what we're working on. And anyone who would like to, co-invest or help develop is very welcome. We've migrated the tool to 70 countries now, and we're introducing it in 20 countries. And in every country, we want to build up a database with digital twins of the metaverse for buildings, just to make them more sustainable, but also as a potential platform. That's our second investment. We think that it should be as easy to make your building or home sustainable as booking a trip with booking.com or ordering your food with any of the big platforms. So we want to make platforms. We've already started this in the Netherlands with Sport NL Green, where 30,000 sport accommodations can actually order their own sustainability based on the tools that you've just seen, connecting them to multinational OEMs and brands. And finally, we would like to introduce, to inspire everyone to do the same as what we've done, make the making of sustainability less complex, make the first step as simple and as cheap as possible to allow for mass scalability and to mass sustainability. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Bram. With that, I'd like to hand over to Martin, who is representing the Dutch Sustainable, the Dutch Sustainable Building Council. Yeah, there's so many acronyms nowadays that. And please, Martin, you describe your role in this market and your efforts to to scale up energy efficiency in the built environment.
Yes, thank you, Richard. I will share my screen. Task time. Yes. It's okay now. Yes, Martin Mooij, Dutch Green Building Council. You're probably familiar across Europe with the concept of a Green Building Council. They're in almost every European country, and we also meet them from time to time. We're in projects together. So we represent, say, about every party in the building sector. So we're kind of a branch organization, but sustainability is our main topic. So ABN AMRO and CFP, so Bram and Richard are one of our members. And in total, we have about 400 members. So we started a project. I will tell you about our Delta Plan, or our Paris Proof project. So you probably won't understand what we mean with a Delta Plan, but it was a plan that was executed in the 50s to protect us from flooding. And of course, we have again protect us from flooding, so both by adaptation and mitigation. And we think there's a lot to do in the building sector to reduce carbon emissions. So that's our main challenge. And talking about the building sector, it's about 40% of the European and global emissions. So we're responsible. We are the biggest sector, and 29% roughly comes from operational energy. So that's the metered energy consumption, and another 11% comes from embodied energy. So that's the building sector. So that's last year or 2 years ago, we started a project with the other green building councils on embodied energy, and altogether we call them whole life carbon. So that's also one of the topics that we addressed in Brussels, and it's mentioned in the latest version of the EPBD, version 4. But we started with the operational part, so we'll largely talk about that. So we started the project in 2016, so just after the Paris conference, and it was, well, over the last years, over the last months even, or even today mentioned again, we need to accelerate drastically to stay within the 1.5 degree budget. And well, we said, well, we can do a lot about that. We have the members, we have the project, we're also the BREEAM scheme operator in the Netherlands, so we know what an innovative or energy efficient project could look like. We have the members that have the knowledge. So let's start a project on this. And one of the first questions we asked ourselves, and was later on, I think it's used in many countries now, we asked ourselves the question, how would a Paris-proof building look like? So what is a Paris-proof building? And at the time, there were some studies carried out in the Netherlands. We, of course, have the energy labeling systems in the Netherlands in place, as in every European country. But at the time, there were some reports published that there's a huge gap between the theoretical energy consumption, so represented or calculated by an energy label or energy performance certificates, and the actual energy consumption. So we wanted to look in, and that's where we needed data, or still need data, into what is the energy consumption of the building sector. So mainly where we started with is the commercial and public sector, so not homes. So how many buildings, what's the energy consumption, what's the benchmark, etc., etc. So we looked into some studies, and luckily there was a study from 2013, which was a good overview across all sectors in the Netherlands. So that was our starting point. And then we thought about what would be the target for 2050, because that's also what we heard, and that's also mentioned in the climate agreement negotiations that started after the Paris conference in the Netherlands. Investors needed a long-term goal to develop their roadmaps, their plans, to work in tools as Bram just showed. So not for 1, 2, or 3 years, but just have a clear investment horizon for 10, 20 years, and also think about what is required in the Netherlands, phasing out the natural gas infrastructure and change from gas-fired boilers to heat pumps, for instance, heat pumps or district heating systems. But legislation is complicated in the Netherlands. There are all kinds of legislations for the owner, for the occupier, for all sectors different. So that was confusing. So we said, well, let's think about a clear end goal. And well, we came to the conclusion that what would make more sense than just look at what's on your meter. So that's what it's all about. We have to get to zero emissions by 2050. So zero energy, or at least zero fossil energy. So I will show you our approach on the next slide. And so in the project we were working on tools. Well, Bram and many of our members are working on tools, but the tool developed by CFP is, I think, the largest or the most widely used. About projects, roadmaps, etc. Of course, we do trainings on this. And we also said we need to do this together. So it's what we do by nature as a Green Building Council. We have everyone represented in working groups, but normally in climate negotiations, it's every sector that's is promoting their own business, but we need them all. So we said, what makes more sense than just look at what's on your meter, because the meter or the figures on the meter have to go down. It's a clear indicator for both the end users, the investors, but also for the authorities, because that's in the end what they have to present to the European Commission and worldwide on, let's say, the national meter that has to go down as well. And that's just the total of every individual meter. So we made a calculation, and we looked deeper into that later on. I can give you a figure, a graph of that. We did a kind of backwards calculation. So we looked into various reports. So what's the potential, the sustainable energy potential in the Netherlands by 2050? For 2050, and we came to the conclusion that it was about 1/3 of our current or the energy demand in 2013. So we said, well, then the challenge is easy. We have to reduce by 2/3 in every sector, but we are responsible for the buildings, so we have to reduce the energy demand of buildings by 2/3, and that's in 2050, but earlier than 2050, so presumably or preferably 2040 or sooner. So that's what we call a Paris-proof building. We calculated figures for every building. What is the maximum allowed energy consumption in kilowatt hours per square meter? So we developed roadmaps for offices, retail, logistics, and hotels, restaurants. So let's say the commercial sectors, where we did a further research into the, let's say, the data of the sector, how many buildings and scenarios, and also on the, let's say, the barriers that can occur, split incentives, etc. And we, together with our members, we're working on removing these barriers. And calculations on the scenarios up to 2050. Well, I can send you the link when the slides will be distributed on the work we're doing. There's a movie that explains this in one minute. So we need data. But as Bram said, we don't have enough manpower to visit every building, and next to that, it's rather boring to produce reports of every building. We need to be we have to be an automated system for that. And then in the Netherlands, we have lots of data, but the data are not aligned. So sorry for the typos in this slide, but so we see that every sector, even the public sector, so there is a national register of the energy consumption for every building, but the kind of square meters are different from every register to the other register, or how the let's say the real estate sector is naming them. So even the functions of a building, so retail, in the building calculation is just retail, but the investors talk about high street retail or other types of retail. So it's hard to combine these data just to produce a simple indicator as the kilowatt hours per square meter. So we're working on that now with all the authorities to align these registers to just produce this simple figure. And we developed a methodology for that. It's called the WEI, so it's the real energy intensity indicator, so the actual energy use or energy use, intensity use, it's called in English, I think. And some other countries, for instance, the UK is also working on or uses this indicator as the main indicator. And there's even a proposal for the British legislation to move from energy performance certificates to energy intensity. And in this protocol, we give further explanations for all kinds of questions that can occur on the type of square meters, but also on whether to include charging points for vehicles, which of course are connected to a building, but in fact are not part of the built environment sector, but for the transportation sector, or data centers, big data centers, which are also not part of a building. And for every sector, we developed several classes from, let's say, the current standards to Paris-proof, or even below Paris-proof, what we call a real energy neutral building. So, and from Paris-proof kind of NZEP and in European terms and definitions, and WENG, what we call WENG is CEP. There's also an English version of this available, so we will distribute the link. So this is the scale from on the left side, and this is a building which consumes 40 kilowatt hours per square meter. So for offices, the Paris-proof benchmark is 70 kilowatt hours per square meters. So that's 1/3 of the average in 2013. Well, this approach is, as I said, used in other countries as well, but also very well known and growing in the real estate sector. So the CREM project, it's a European project, but it's now a worldwide project. It's part of the GRESP reporting, ESG reporting system. They also developed pathways for every country and for every sector, and for 1.5 and 2 degree budget. They are not completely aligned with our pathways yet, but we think we have a clue now where the differences are. So we are in the process of further aligning them, but well, at least the message is clear. We have to reduce, and we have to start soon. And So they're using this system already, and in this you see it's very small on screen, but you see the years and the kilowatt hours per square meters on the y-axis, and you have to stay below these lines, and otherwise your asset will become stranded. So you're not able to sell or to lease this asset. And another example is that's also what we're asking for, so transparency in the energy consumption. So now it's GDPR and all kinds of reasons why the data is not shared, and we think it should be shared at least in commercial sectors, because it's not linked to an individual. And in New York, so this is part of Manhattan, there's a website where you can find the energy and water consumption of every building, and there's also a benchmark and a pathway, and even a trading system there to trade energy efficiency credits. 2 years ago, we in this building in Circle in Amsterdam, it was at the start of COVID. So you see Mr. Timmermans, which the EU Vice President, on the screen. We handed over a commitment of 40 of our members, and we're now at 40. At the time, it were 20. So the large investors and the banks are participating in the project, and they said we commit ourselves to becoming Paris-proof sooner than 2050. So most of them in 2040. CFP and ABN AMRO are members of this commitment. So we're scaling up this commitment now amongst our members, but also with other organizations let's say it's kind of a private initiative, because what we see now, the legislation takes some time. So the EPD4 is now published, but it will take another 2-3 years before it's totally included or implemented in Dutch legislation, and we can't afford this this time. We need to reduce the energy demand drastically and immediately. So that's why we are very happy that our members are taking the lead. That's it for now.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Martin. What it just shows is that in order to scale up and to speed up, we really need private initiative to move faster than legislation. And that's what we're trying to do. But let's also not forget that the European Central Bank is also pushing banks to clearly indicate the transition risk and the physical risk of their portfolios, including their real estate portfolios, so that also the pricing of lending towards real estate is going to be dependent, at least partially, on the energy efficiency of those buildings. So there are more factors pushing in the same direction. We have one question in the chat from Yeri, and I'll hand over the headset back to Bram to answer this question.
Thank you, Richard. The question is,
oh, sorry.
The question is, detailed digital twins might be quite difficult to develop. What's the level of detail you plan? I don't know if you know this definition of quality, but quality can be defined as fitness for use. And the same is true for data quality. So for a 90% accurate business case, the only data that we need of a building is these, relatively small records, size, age, asset category, and where it is located. If you want more detailed data, you need a business case for getting that data. Our estimate is that you need 3,000 euros per building to get detailed data up to a 3D model of the building, and we have found a business model that would pay for that. So we can go up to a 3D model of a building. But until we get there, if we have the installation data and the technical infrastructure age and the installation data as in wattage and size, we can already make maintenance budgets from a distance. And we don't need to visit the building anymore. So the answer is twofold. One is you don't need the entire 100% or 3,000 euros per building to make a model, a digital twin that you can actually use for proposals and for planning and for maintenance. The other one is we have found a business model that will pay for the 3,000 euros per building on average, and that's how we are going to build the platform for this. I hope this will answer your question, Jiri. I don't know if there are any other questions for me.
I had maybe a simple question, but does the tool account for local criteria? Does take into account for all the local legislative or whatever the price fluctuations are in the national location?
Yeah, so the tool has been configured for 70 countries with the local carbon per energy source, per fuel source, of course, for buying power, purchasing power, for local climate, for local building histories and building traditions. So for 70 countries, it's very detailed.
A lot of work.
It was a lot of work.
How many people are you with CFP currently?
We are with 45 people, and our partner is in 50 countries. The press release will go out the day after tomorrow about the name of that partner.
Good stuff. Congrats.
Thank you.
And maybe then a quick follow-up question to Martin as well. Could it be that I've seen the WAI protocol pop up in RVO in Dutch policy reports, and then Dutch calculations for energy efficiency calculations?
Well, they're enthusiastic about this, but of course they represent the government, so they also have to work amongst with the energy performance certificates. But we just presented the combinations. We call it the combination between the two. So it's always the combination between, let's say, the theoretical energy performance, which is represented by the energy performance certificates, and the actual energy performance. So at first we said, well, it's rubbish, the energy performance certificates, but now we see that the combination between the two makes sense. So the energy performance certificates tells you a lot about, let's say, what measures are taken in the building, and then you look at say the other axis. So we have this compass with two axes. So it's the energy performance certificates on the x-axis and the y on the y-axis. So that's the compass, and you ideally you have the performance which is calculated, which is also the theoretical. You meet the theoretical performance in reality. So you have to use both. Let's say it's a plan, do, act cycle. So that's what we presented, and well, it's good that you have seen it already in RVO publications.
Yeah,
that's what we want to achieve, and they're enthusiastic about it. So it's good they're a promoter of it.
Thank you for the answer. If there are no further questions, let me just, if anyone has a question, you can just post them in the chat real quick. Otherwise, I propose we can go to the next agenda item, which is the presentation from our sister project E2 Driver. Unfortunately, our E2 Driver has, let me also show my face to you guys. E2 Driver has a parallel event where they are hosting their own webinar event. So he isn't available to be here in person, or at least in virtual attendance, but they've sent us a nice video which we'll show. Also, looking at the agenda, it is time for our break. So since he isn't there to respond to any questions, you are free to walk away from your laptops, and we'll be reconvening in 15 minutes time, and I'll let the presentation turn. There you go. I'll start a video, and then I'll let it play. That's the word I'm looking for. I'll let the presentation play, and we'll be back in 15 minutes. So it'll be a break right after. And when we come back, we'll have a session on our stakeholder perspectives with presentations from our advisory board members, and also 2 more sister projects who will be taking the stage. So yeah, be right back, and I'll turn on the video right now. Thank you. Let me quickly fix this because I, of course, forgot to turn on the sound. And now I lost the screen. All right, second try. And this time I'm going to turn on the sound as well. So here we go again.
It's nothing fresh bread.
Of the E2Driver project, and this is a very brief presentation of this project. E2Driver project is a project founded by the European Horizon 2020 program. The aim is to boost the energy efficiency and to increase the knowledge in energy auditing in the small and medium enterprises of the European automotive sector. And we have covered 4 countries: Germany, Spain, France, and Italy. In order to achieve our objective, we have created the E2Driver solution, which is composed by a capacity building program plus a post-training consultancy. Regarding the capacity building program, this program has a blended learning format with part online and part on-site. And the online part is doing by using the E2Driver e-learning platform. And the training is one of the most important characteristics of the training is that we customize the program depending on the needs and interest of the companies. And we also use innovative approaches like ontological flip teaching. In order to ensure that the training is focused on the needs of the workers, we offer 4 different paths depending the professional profile. So there are one path for managers, another for engineers, another for technical managers, and the last one for technicians. We also have created additional tools in order to increase the knowledge in different aspects of the company. So we have provided them a energy self-assessment tool, a financial tool, and also we have created a virtual reality experience where the trainees are able to learn how to perform measures in an electrical cabinet. After the implementation of the training capacity building program, we have a phase of post-training support, where we help the companies to identify potential energy efficiency measures and to estimate their impact. We also help them in the definition of the strategy for the implementation of these energy efficiency measures. Until now, we have had this impact. It is true that we are now in the very last part of the project, so we are now calculating the real impact that we have had. But until the moment, we have trained 35 companies in the 4 mentioned countries. We have increased the knowledge and skills of around 300 workers, and we have trained 25 external trainers in Europe and also in Latin America. And it is likely that this number will be increased due to the fact that the Germany and French training of trainers is not performed yet. So this number will be higher. And regarding the energy efficiency measures implemented and you suggested, we are not able to say a specific number now, because we are calculating this number. But we are confident that we are going to be able to have even more numbers of energy efficiency measures implemented and suggested than the expected one. We include in the proposal our objective to achieve 65 energy efficiency measures implemented and 100 suggested, but it's probably that this number will be higher. And in order to finish my presentation, I just want to say as a summary the result of the project. So I have divided into the tangible results and the intangible results. So regarding the tangible ones, we have created an e-driver e-learning platform, a guide for trainers in order to ensure the implementation, the replication of this project. We have created a repository of training materials that are available in the platform, 2 self-assessment tools, a virtual reality experience, a best practice book, and a tracking tool that will help companies in order to see their progress in the implementation of the energy efficiency measures. And regarding the intangible results, as I said in the previous slide, we have increased the knowledge, the collective knowledge in several companies, and we have increased the skills of several workers. As a result, we have reduced the emissions of greenhouse gases. We have also used pedagogical innovations, and finally we have created several alliances between the entities that have been working inside the project, but also with entities that are externals of the consortium. So it has been great. So if you are interested in know more about this project, here you have the website and the links to the to our social media channels. And if you have questions or doubts, here is my name, Erudino Llano Güemes. I'm from Fundación Circe. Here is my email address. You can, by sure, you can contact me. Thank you very much.
So, hello once again, everyone re-energized. Hi Yiri, good to see you. Hi Leo, thanks for covering for Stephen in advance already. Your presentation is not for a few more. But everyone, welcome back. We're going to the last session already of the AAA Roadshow final European event. My colleague Yiri from the AAA project will take over moderation for the third session. So over to you, Yiri.
Good afternoon, everybody. This session will be about stakeholder involvement. Within the AAA project, it was quite a big portion to work with our stakeholders. We worked together with over 700 people, 700 experts, and we will share now the stakeholders' perspective. The first speaker today in the session will be Mr. Christian Poca. He is senior researcher by Remark in Bolzano, and he will talk about another synergetic project with AAA, and I'm happy to hear his presentation.
Thank you, Yiri. Let me just share screen. Okay. Can you see it? Okay.
Yes,
great.
it works perfectly.
So thank you for inviting us. Our project is going to conclude later this year in June. It is funded by H2020 program, sorry. And the main objective is to increase, to let investor to meet project proposed on a trusted basis, so where they can understand what they are investing in without going too much into the detail of and they need to understand the technical aspects. So basically our project, you will see a bit later, translates the technical risks into financial terms automatically, and the effort is on the side of the project promoter. It's their job, and the bank and the investor, professional investor, can directly access to a report with only financial meaning, and also some more advanced stuff as the probability distribution of these financial KPIs, in particular the IRR and other similar KPIs are offered into the probability distribution. So also in terms of how different they will be instead of the single value that one could obtain by traditional methods. So the project is coordinated by Remark. It involves 9 partners from Europe, and we also have an advisory board with involving people from real estate and financial institutions. We also tested the methodology in 2 demos in Italy and Spain. So the methodology includes different steps. First, input data collection sheet is compiled by the project promoter. Then a technical risk assessment is automatically computed based on their input, and the financial model is run and provides the financial performance. Also, multiple benefit for both the owner, the project, the building owner, but specifically for the investors like SDG Impact are evaluated on the specific project input. Then a tool for benchmarking, and so basically to decide where, in which specific project to invest or to add to a portfolio such a tool is offered. And then finally, for each project, the investor can download a report which contains all the information and also some recommendation for him to invest better and to take care of. And this report is also provided in digital format and validated by a blockchain mechanism. So very roughly, these are the tools that we developed and are all combined into the Investor Web platform. So basically, the risking tool that combines technical and financial performance. Another module that computes the contribution to SDG goals and multiple benefit. There is also a quality assessment tool that is easier to compile. It takes just a few minutes and gives you a quality. It's a kind of scoreboard and provides you the quality compared to the project size also. And then, as mentioned, there is the MCDA, so multiple criteria decision analysis, which can support and also be customized by the specific investor based on their profile. And all of this is available through a search and match platform. This is an example from well, it's a mock-up in this case, but basically the platform can be offering filtering, search, different view. You can access directly the report and compare different potential investments. And these are two sample reports from the demo cases. It's just the first page where you see summary, basically. So the project size, the impact on energy saving, the demand, specific aspects related to the project ambition, the quality, and what is being renovated and mitigated as a risk. And then in the other pages, there are one by one the KPIs that are also explained, and this created a kind of context so that the investor can also decide, being informed on its investment type. So thank you all. I think I've been on time, and give you the word.
Christian, thank you very much for your very fast presentation. This is great. Are there any questions from the audience, or we can keep it for the end of the session? I don't see right now. So thank you, Christian, for your effort in this project. It is a bit similar to activities running under AAA, and we can definitely benefit from each other. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I see now Stoyan Danov and Leo Bedford within the agenda. We have Stoyan Danov. So please start your presentation. Stoyan is a senior researcher in building energy and environment by CIME. So we are quite interested in your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Jiří. Hello, I'm going to present the project NTRAC, which stands for Energy Efficiency Performance Tracking Platform for Benchmarking Savings and Investments in Buildings. So NTRAC is a Horizon 2020 project that started 1.5 years ago, and it is in the line in the co-topic mainstreaming energy efficiency finance, and basically focuses on gathering of empirical evidence, gathering of data, empirical evidence on the effect of of energy efficiency savings. So in this aspect is I see it's quite synergistic to all of the projects I heard in this sense, because we are let's say somehow neutral in this aspect, and they are open in sharing the collected data. So the project has a duration of 3 years. We have 7 partners from 5 countries, and there are 2 pilot sites, one in Spain and one in Bulgaria. So we try to cover quite different areas of Europe with different background. And our objective is to gather around more than 4,500 energy efficiency measures, meaning savings and investments for this, to evaluate them and to provide services on top of them, like benchmarking services. So we aim to align, gather data from different services and to adopt a standard data description to gather this data and align them over our platform, and also to support the de-risking energy efficiency platforms by exchanging the collected data with it. So there are several main objectives of NTRAC. The first one is to enable massive gathering of data on the performance of energy efficiency investments. This means the cost of energy managers, their type, the consumption before and after, because we target evaluation of real effect of these measures, but also not forgetting information about non-energy benefits, user perceptions about them. Our objective is to make this process continuous by engaging the stakeholders that possess data to offer it in the platform. So this is somehow different with other platforms that like Deep, that collect already done projects. We are targeting to engage with services, the users, and to try make them use the platform on a frequent basis. Registering all the information regarding their buildings in the platform as this happens. So we adopt a standard data description. So we created a open common data model that is aligned with principal standards, and also is aligned with the building energy description, building energy data specification BEATS, so which is one standardized dictionary for terms in energy efficiency, which is adopted in the US. And we also make this data model and our platform interoperable with other platforms. So with the platform Deep, but also with the platform Equat from Joule Assets, which is active in gathering and assessing projects for energy efficiencies. And as well, so it's developing business models and agreements with large building owners, for like public authorities, for sustaining the solution afterwards. So basically, NTRAC is based on gathering of data from multiple sources by aligning them over a common data model. So these data could come from databases, so which are connected and through APIs, and we discharge these data automatically, but also can be user submitted through the NTRAC web application of the platform, and also can be uploaded from this application, like energy consumption bills or energy performance certificates. So when the tool extracts this this data, aligns it over the data model, so it checks consistency and makes possible this comparison of offering some benchmarking services and tracking services. So our approach, as I said, is in the center of the platform is the common open data model, which is publicly available. So, and also the capability to collect automatically data from different systems, combining user submitted data, and also performing consistency checks over data. So especially when there are different duplicated data sources. So we also allow the customer to check the data and to approve it before this data is used in the platform. And these automated checks and this involvement of the user in the data quality confirmation and check also ensures the low cost and the high quality of the data. So there is the platform is based on big data analytics technologies in the core, so it has it's highly scalable, and so here is a bit a glimpse into the data processes that we manage. So data could come from different sources through APIs or through the user interface. After initial mapping of each data source, so they're aligned over our data model, and then undergo a process of verification and cleansing after they finally go to the final to the database. And on the other side, so the interface provides a number of services for the users. So just a glimpse into our main stakeholders. NTRAC targets building owners and operators, financial institutions, and also policymakers, offering different types of services, basically supporting decision making in investments, but also more detailed tracking of data when this is available. So it is not limited to one kind of data, so it can receive high granularity data, but also monthly data or even yearly data, and provide accordingly different services for the stakeholders. So just finishing my short presentation, sorry if I extend it. So just to emphasize the relevance of this platform, especially for public authorities like regional and local governments and municipalities and cities, so where NTRAC could provide a solution, low-cost solution, scalable, that can support their programs. And we also open to cooperate with different projects, so establish data exchange and joint services. So you're welcome to contact me if you're interested in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Stern, very much for your brief and concise information about the quite ambitious project. Thanks a lot. I would like to move to our colleague Leo Bedford, who will be presenting a quite difficult title for me, which is Operationalizing Energy Efficiency First Principle. So the floor is yours.
I think you pronounced that better than I can.
Yeah, that was perfect, Yuri. Good job.
Thank you. So we're good on screen, are we?
Yes, it works perfectly.
Good. Okay, so operationalizing energy efficiency first in financial institutions. So EFIG, I think because of the synergies between all these programs, most people are aware of it, but just to sort of a brief recap on what it is. It's another Commission program and with UNEP funding as well that aims to address the barriers to energy efficiency financing, both through policy and market-based solutions, and with a membership spanning all of those organisations that everyone has talked about before. So the financial institutions, industry, and the experts within each individual sectors. Outputs to date have included things like the report of the energy efficiency, the de-risking project, DEEP, that a number of people have mentioned previously earlier today, and the underwriting toolkit. And then we've got a number of ongoing working groups on a range of topics, including this one and a sister program on trying to encourage the market to adopt energy efficiency more and how one can make it more attractive to the market, which I think is something relevant to everyone who's got a product or a service or a study ongoing at the moment. In terms of EE First specifically and financial institutions, it is EU policy, as in energy efficiency first as an investment principle, but as we're all aware from all the research we've done, it is just not that there are so many decisions being taken at the moment that don't incorporate even the most obvious cost-effective or potential energy efficiency solutions for a number of reasons, from lack of information or within the project and the stakeholders, through just application of this is the way we always do it, to a perception of lack of time to do it properly, and thus think about energy efficiency alongside the more fundamental reasons for undertaking a project, or an inability to stop the train coming down the track because energy efficiency is an afterthought, and there's a perception that there's no time to go back and actually investigate how these things might be incorporated. So we look to address that through the recommendations of the EEC, and there is a document, a lengthy EEC document out there, and an annex specifically on guidelines for energy efficiency. But we look at that and we take the recommendations that are there and look at a number of their first and main areas for consideration. So firstly, adapting and incorporating the principle into different financing processes so that the priority is given at the right time, so things aren't too late. Making sure that there's the right capacity among the stakeholders in projects. Aligning the interests of all those stakeholders, which is critical, and we go back to the most simplistic of owner-tenant relationships within EE, and then using the principles to try to avoid the idea of stranded assets where energy efficiency is no longer affordable because all the low-hanging fruit has already been picked up. And then finally, developing new, more relevant projects or products for the sector to bring full circle and bed in the principles of energy efficiency first. Challenges to do that are, I think, many and well understood from our previous presenters. The different types of EE from is it a pure EE retrofit project where you'd think that it was pretty obvious that energy efficiency would work? Is it a retrofit project that EE might fit there, or is it a new build? And those have very different factors and drivers to making them work. There are obviously different sectors. We've heard a lot about real estate, but there's plenty of other industrial, commercial sectors, residential, that it's greater than the built environment, the need to look at this from a first principles perspective. We look at the different financial instruments, from equity through to grant via asset finance, secured finance, securitized finance, bonds we've heard about, green bonds. So each of those have different factors that have got to be considered as to how do you make them think about energy efficiency first. And then you've got the different types of institutions themselves, be they pension funds with an attitude towards long-term consistent revenue, to the specialised impact funds that supposedly look to invest in specifically in these type of projects and enable them. And then where are the drivers, and how does one proactively influence project development to do more than is just the normal. So the specific working group was established just at the beginning of this year and runs through to the middle of April, or just early April next year. So it's a 15-month program where we will look at those drivers and barriers and examples working with financial institutions, starting with the main highly recognizable ones, but ideally getting down into those, I don't want to say smaller, but lesser tiers of institutions which actually properly influence the market at all levels, and what tools that can be made helpful to those financial institutions to help them adopt EE first. And I think, again, much of what we've heard earlier throughout the day could be could be entirely relevant to that aspect of the working group. And then full circle back, what policy and regulatory measures need to be improved or could be improved to actually make all of our lives easier in delivering the impact that we've all set out to do, and ultimately provide feedback on what the EC has produced to date. So our membership, I think similar to many other speakers we've heard today, is that spectrum of stakeholders from the actual project or building or infrastructure owners through the various finance institutions, the de-riskers, the pension funds, the insurance companies, and anyone who is involved in energy efficiency effectively. And then our deliverables from this study, which is it's relatively early compared to some of the others, so we're still fairly nascent and learning and eager to hear more from other people, some of whom would in aspects of this have got further than we have already. So we want to deliver guidance for financial institutions to include why would you adopt EE first as a principle, as opposed to just EE as a equal opportunity alongside renewables. Guidance on how it can be adopted into investment and lending processes, and ideally template documents, processes, tools that can accelerate, de-risk, promote that adoption of EE first. And as I said before, the recommendations back to the EC on potential policy measures. So that's what we want to do. And in so doing, we should address a critical element of increasing the flow of investment into energy efficiency. We will raise awareness of that EE first principle and create that opportunity to develop useful tools for the stakeholders to help adopt it, and generally advance the agenda to retard our emissions, which I think we all heard this morning is I think we're going to hit that 1.5 degrees C this year, which would be very sad, if not disastrous at this stage. But we need to keep working even harder at these ends. And just coming back to what I said earlier, because this is a relative to some others, a fairly nascent or new project, I think there's a lot of learnings that we could take from some of the speakers we've heard earlier. So we'd love to hear from you. And to that end, the leads of this particular working group are Dr. Stephen Folks and Peter Sweatman, whose contacts are there, or indeed via me, but I'm filling in for Steve today, so he's the boss on this one. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo, very much for your call for experts, I would call it, and for sharing your work. That is quite huge work in front of you still within the group. So thank you very much for this presentation. I would like to move forward to the next presenter. I don't see any question right now from the audience. So please, Alice Korovesi, I hope you are still with us between. I would like to say 2 sentences. First, Alice is the most active member of our advisory board in AAA, was 18 meetings, which is unbelievable, and she is member of the woman energy community in Greece, which is amazing. So another important point to be mentioned. So Alice, the floor is yours, and please let us know about energy efficiency investment in building sector.
Thank you, Yuri. It was a pleasure. It has been a pleasure being part as member of the advisory board of the AAA project. And thank you for this honor. Please allow me to share my presentation. I think that today, okay, can you see the presentation now? Okay, I think today is my fame day with 2 presentations, but now I'm focusing in a different, let's say, topic, and this is about energy efficiency investments in the building sector. Actually, this is also about the core activities that we have here at INSEB, while also this is part of the SMAFIN project that I presented in the previous session. So let's start with some warm-up facts. Just to understand why energy efficiency in buildings are very well connected and why we should pay attention in increasing the investment rates for buildings. So among the warm-up facts, I can say that we spent 90% of our lives in buildings, and this is something that was really highlighted during the pandemic. We understood very well how the comfortness in the indoor environments and how health and well-being are connected with the buildings, even though the buildings could be our business, let's say, building, or it can be our house or the school, or even for our leisure. Buildings are responsible for nearly 36% of the CO2 emissions in the EU, while also buildings stand for 40% of the energy demand in the EU. Buildings are actually the most consuming sector among the other ones, I mean the industry and the transportation. In addition, 9 out of 10 of existing buildings will be standing and occupied by 2050, and this is a fact that needs to be considered why we should put attention in the renovation of the existing building stock, while the current average renovation rate is only 1% each year, even though the target of the EU and the targets of the member states are trying to increase the 1% renovation rate to 2% at least, and even to triple it to be 3%, which is, let's say, the most convenient one and the one that can support meeting the targets that have been set at EU level and at national levels as well. In addition, I have added here the energy efficiency first principle, and this is a quote that was taken by the European Commission's website. What the energy efficiency first principle is about, it's about taking utmost account of cost-efficient energy efficiency measures in shaping energy policy and making relevant investment decisions. So we see that energy efficiency and investments are 2 terms that they are connected and they go together. What is commonly agreed, and this is something that we have seen also from the SMAFIN national roundtables that happened in 2021 and 2022, but also from the experience that we have coming from the sustainable energy investment forums that our organization participated actively, it is the majority of stakeholders and all the interested parties agree that there is an untapped opportunity to create more sustainable environment when investing in buildings energy efficiency. The key here is not only to agree that there is an untapped opportunity about that, is also to move forward and make real actions in realizing what we are saying about the connection between energy efficiency and investments. So what is more agreed is that more efficient buildings can generate also economic benefits, reduce the environmental impacts, but also to improve people's quality of life. But let's go here in the next slide. Okay, and talk a little bit about the benefits, the social, the economic, and the environmental. I like to start with economic because it's a discussion that is taking place, especially due to the energy crisis that we're facing. The improved buildings efficiency can reduce costs. And we're talking about operation costs, but in addition, those can improve the productivity and help create jobs for people. And this is something that European Commission and of course the member states are considered as a key element of connecting investments and increasing the investment rates in the building stock, the existing one, but also when talking about new investments for new buildings and new real estate portfolios. About the environmental ones, the building's efficiency increases energy productivity, cuts emissions, and also reduces pressure on natural resources in the cities and in general in the countries. While we need to consider also the social aspects of energy and especially how the investments for increasing energy efficiency can have an impact on the social part, when we're talking about people and buildings and all the connected, let's say, part, is that buildings efficiency can improve people's quality of life, especially for the ones that they face low income, but also when we're talking about the social aspects is that we create also opportunities for better health and increased productivity. And here's something just to add is that when we're talking about better health, just let's think a little bit about how a better environment and health and well-being in the buildings can minimize the costs that we have for health. And that means that the governments and the policymakers and the ones that they are discussing about the increase of energy efficiency rates and how investments can be part of that, they need to consider also the health impact that these investments have. So it's let's say a loop that can be closed if we consider all the aspects, especially when we're talking about the social part of the buildings. Moving forward and going a little bit in depth on the benefits, let's examine about the economic one. When we're talking about increased energy efficiency in buildings, it's let's say the most cost-effective way to improve the built environment. There are a lot of studies that prove that each €1 invested, there is a saving of €2 in new electricity generation and distribution costs. And this is something that it's estimated, but definitely there are many studies that they are online and there are reliable studies that we can see that for €1 that we invest, there are €2 coming back. In addition, investments in energy efficiency in the building sector are also considered a job creator. There are many studies that estimate that a 27% increase in energy efficiency in Europe by 2030 compared to the 2005 levels can result to 2 million new jobs. And this is something that we need to pay attention because there is a moving, let's say, era and the unemployment rate is considered to be high. So we can see here an untapped potential in creating new jobs or even to upskill the workforce to be committed to the new developments, to be committed and to be focused on the new era that we are facing. The majority of the national renovation and recovery plans that have been submitted last year by the member states, there is only one country that has not submitted yet a national renovation recovery and resilient plan. They have considered reforms, but they also have considered investments in upskilling the workforce related to the renewable energy systems and the energy efficiency related jobs. And this is something that only good can be considered. Last, energy efficiency investments can boost the EU GDP by 0.5% per year, which again is something very good. Going on the environmental part and let's see the benefits in depth is that improving the energy efficiency status of the building stock and the buildings in general we have a contribution to the minimization of the CO2 emissions, specifically the emissions that are produced by the buildings. On the other hand, the natural resources protection is also a benefit. I have some statistics here that say that globally buildings are responsible for nearly 40% of the energy use, including 60% of the electricity use, 12% of water use, 40% of waste generated, and 40% of material resources used. So considering all the environmental parts, again, we can see how investments are connected to the increase of energy efficiency rate of the buildings. Last, about the social one, an energy efficient building stock can definitely increase energy access and the energy security. And now we're not talking about energy security in a member state level, but we are talking also about energy security in a household level. We can reduce the energy poverty rates for low income and the vulnerable households, just to consider that approximately 10 to 12% of the European households are in danger or they are facing energy poverty. This is a huge number, while at the other, we improve health and well-being status, productivity, and of course the comfort levels when being in a building. When we spend less money for heating, cooling, lighting, and all the energy service that a modern household needs, then we have a good result. And this result is that we are securing a higher budget for purchasing other goods. And this means good quality of food. It means expenses for education, more expensive for education, and more expenses for other essential services that a household needs. The actions now, the actions to unlock the energy efficiency investments, I have highlighted here 5-6 actions that I'm presenting, that I will present to you, is that if we want really to unlock investments or to increase the energy efficiency investment rates in the member states, what we need actually is to have a well-designed building codes and standards, and also a requirement for the minimum energy efficiency levels, not only when we have a building in operation, but also in the design and the construction phases. And this action can actually secure the decrease of energy expenses over the building's lifetime, but also to unlock investments and investors' interest. On the other hand, this is something that need to focus on the governments, because governments and the policymakers that work with governments must set and work towards clear energy reduction targets. Of course, we have the renovation plans, we have national energy and climate plans. There are a lot of targets there, but the question is, are we really working towards meeting the targets that the member states have set? So I don't have an answer to this question at the moment, but actually what needs to be done is that we really need to have clear energy reduction targets for the existing building stock mainly, but also to have specific targets for the new real estate investments. And of course, we are not excluding the government-owned buildings. This way we support the investments decision makers, because when we have something very clear and something which is measurable, that means that the investors are more likely to be there and invest in proposals and plans. Another action that is proposed is that regional and local governments have the opportunities to make strategic investments, and actually regional and local governments should have a key role when we are talking about increasing the energy efficiency rate of the building stock. And also they need to work with the national and also private sector financial institutions to help overcome the inactivity and also to spur more investments for buildings. On the other hand, and in addition, actually not the other hand, successful policies and best practices in one region or in one member state should be shared, should be made known to create an increased demand and acceptance for energy efficiency investments. We have good examples at EU level, and those need to be shared, and they need to be publicly available, because replication is something that can benefit other member states that probably they do not have something a hard or a concrete, let's say, plan, or they are facing difficulties on how to implement their plans. And last, increasing the transparency of building performance enables building owners, managers, the real estate portfolio owners, and even the building owners, the occupants, to make more informed and more secure transactions, decisions, to improve buildings performance and also track performance against the set targets. This way, the investors will appreciate such a framework, and I think that based on this, I think that the AAA has worked on and can provide such solutions to the ones that are making the decisions for investment. And this is my last slide about the public and private sector. They need to work together to train also the workforce to successfully implement the energy reduction works. Unfortunately, we have a non-skilled workforce, blue collars. I'm referring mainly to blue collars. So we need to discuss and to find solutions on how to upskill them. The National Recovery and Resilience Plans, the majority of them, they have money allocated for this, and only having an ecosystem which is engaged, which is well informed, which is well trained, only this way we can have good results, and we have successful also case studies. The good news and the bad news. The good news is that for Europe, between 2018 and 2019, the average spending on energy efficiency measures as a share of the total investment of the EU firms was slightly increased. You can find the data at the European Investment Bank report that was released 3 months ago. However, the pandemic and now the continuation of the energy crisis have again slowed the whole process of putting money in energy efficiency in buildings, have slower actually the investments in such cases. As a result, and I'm sharing here my final slide, is that because of the energy crisis that we don't know when this will finalize, we require more actions, concrete actions at all levels, and also what we need to seek is balance among all stakeholders. We need clear policies and strategies that those can enable the investment plans that need to be realized, those that have been set by the national governments and at EU level, but also this way we can mobilize investors. That is from my side. Thank you, and I'm available for any question and discussion.
Thank you, Alica, very much for your great summary of policy recommendations towards energy efficient building stock. I hope it will come very soon. I don't see any question right now, so we can still keep it towards the end. Now I would like to invite our next speaker. Another challenge for me with pronunciation. I would like to invite Csaba Chiki, and Csaba is our advisory board member from the AAA project, another active member, and he will talk about stakeholder perspective right now. So Csaba, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Jerzy, for your kind words, and I would like to congratulate all of you who have been working so hard. Can you see my screen first of all? Because I'm not
yet.
Not yet. Is it now?
Not
Can
yet,
you see
no.
it? I'm clearly a technical genius. Eric, may I ask you to take over, because somehow I don't get this to.
No problem.
So first of all, I would like to congratulate all of you at AAA for having gotten all of this off the ground. I still remember sitting in the offices with John and his team when suddenly you were told that As of tomorrow, the University of Athens will be closed because of COVID. And nevertheless, you managed to get this whole thing off the ground, so congratulations. And I'm very sad that we could not meet, but I'm hopeful that we shall meet again. Now, after all of these good and positive speeches, my presentation is a little bit clearly coming from the finance side, a little bit sadder than what everybody else is proposing here. May I ask you to go to the first slide? First of all, I would like to introduce us a little bit so that you see that we are very active in this whole sector. I'm the chairman of NSAF Capital. I'm basically a banker. I've been a banker since I joined Merrill Lynch many, many moons ago. And we are working basically on 5 activities. We have got corporate finance. So we structure debt, equity products, funds. We have within the launch product been the lead drafter of an off-balance sheet contract, which is maybe one of the keys of scaling the market. We are helping people to roll out on an as-a-service basis. And our field of activity is heating, lighting, cooler, solar, and e-mobility. Furthermore, we've got ESG advisory services, where my colleague Alex runs a very good ship and is being required and being asked by many people to set up ESG in-house projects. Without ESG, there's a great saying at the EIB, no ESG, no money. So we should all remember that. We have got securitization services for existing cash flows to be sold off to long-term investors, as it was mentioned earlier. There are a great amount of funds sitting there looking for stable cash flows from sustainability products, but we just can't offer them, and none of us can offer them the scale they are needing. We are helping people to do EU-funded projects. And finally, as I believe that carbon is a cost, either you need to buy carbon credits because you are inefficient, or you can save carbon credits by investing in carbon, in energy saving measures, which then release carbon. Could I have the next slide, please? Now, from our perspective, we are having basically 4 groups who are players in this whole area. You've got building owners who are, and I'm glad to hear that in a country like Holland, banks are willing to lend, but I would say the further you go to the east and the further you go to the south, the less banks are willing to engage in lending. And last but not least, many of the public buildings are subject to Eurostat guidelines. And if our friends from the EIB would be sitting here, they would be telling you right away that if you don't reduce by 30% energy saving, or if you don't reduce the energy by 30%, your measures which you have implemented will not count as an energy saving measure. Therefore, they will be non-compliant. Therefore, they will increase the debt of the country. And whilst we haven't heard of Eurostat or of the Maastricht criteria for a long time, they are still out there, and sooner or later they're going to come back. Next ones are the private sector, generally held by our funds. And here there is a very important element. They've got balance sheet limitations. If you think about a fund acquiring a building, he's going to put down 20% equity, go to his friendly banker, borrow 80%, needs to pledge everything and his dog to the bank. Suddenly, and we saw this in COVID, you are having tenants leave. Your income is reduced, you are virtually breaching or are in breach of lending covenants. You are not able to borrow anything from your bank, because you are up to the hilt. The next group which would be interesting in this whole thing is technology providers, but they want to manufacture what they can, want to sell it, give you 30 to 90 days credit, but after that you need to pay. Clearly, nothing is repayable within 30 to 90 days. Now we come to the big boys, the various financiers, and within Launch, which is an EU project, and the current project where we are working on, which is Propel, which is a follow-on to Launch, we realized that banks generally understand balance sheets, but very seldom are project financiers. And actually for energy savings, need project financiers. You've got specialized investment funds. These boys are good. They know what they do. They've got technology understanding. They've got balance sheet understanding. They understand new business models, but they haven't got the depth which one would see at banks, and they haven't got the money you would need to really scale. Last but not least, you're coming to the long-term bond market, and here there is depth, here there is money, but they are generally looking for a minimum of 5 million investment into a bond, don't want to take more than 5 to 10% of a bond, which then means that you're looking at energy-saving bonds around 100 million and above. And then you're coming to the ESCOs. Either you are seeing the NGs of this world, which are subsidiary or which are a large quoted firm. They've got a strong balance sheet, access to capital markets, so they can get things going, and then repackage it, sell it to the bond market. But most typically, the ESCO market is people 10, 25 employees promoting energy saving measures with a small balance sheet. Now, this small balance sheet is exactly what the ABN AMROs, BNPs, you name them, Piraeuses are looking at. Finally, you're having a very interesting group, but they are very nascent in Europe, which are the super ESCOs, which theoretically would have a lot of know-how technologically and would have a strong balance sheet, but they are not really active in the market now. Could I have the next slide, please? Now, we need to be bold and we need to move very, very quickly. And here there is the big I would say, disconnect of the various market actors. Once the financiers, they are purely interested in return, secure return. You've got asset owners, we spoke about them earlier. They've got either balance sheet problems or limitations, but on the other side are driven by stake and by shareholders who want them to be ESG compliant. But they can't really move if they can't borrow. Finally, there's the ESCO, and there are always good and bads in this market sector. They are clearly profit-driven, and the more they can make, the better it is. Now, in order for us to get ahead, we roughly need in the EU 200 billion of energy-saving measures in a year. We've got, and other speakers mentioned that, we have got the ability, we have got the inability to execute versus expectations. Execution limitations are twofold. One, you've got a limitation of the man with the screwdriver, who would then actually reduce unemployment, but he hasn't been educated to do so. And then you've got balance sheet limitations. Even the big boys in the room, the EIB, face problems. The PF4EE has not gone as well as expected because clearly the banks didn't draw down the money which the EIB was willing to give them. They would have covered 20% of losses, de-risking projects. But again, here we are facing the problem, balance sheet landing versus project finance. last but not least, this is a new market, and we're having new requirements, the ESG requirements, being asked every day for more. The European Banking Association just came up with a new guideline, which needs to be implemented by 23, I believe, but most banks haven't even heard of them. So every ESG professional coming out of university is being chased from one firm to the other. And I know it from one of my sons who is working for a large private equity firm. He had received innumerable opportunities to move. So we are requiring a lot from the market in order to reduce energy saving. Now, we need to act much, much faster, move and make fast decisions. Can I have the next slide, please? Whilst energy saving is a no-brainer, why is it not moving? If we think about the solar energy, fields, you can put them on the roof, your bank is going to finance it, they understand that there are takeoff tariffs, they can calculate it in between 7 to 12 years, depending on where you are and what kind of technology you've used, this thing is paid back. At the same time, if you just take lead, and that's an example, has got a much, much faster payback. But somehow people don't believe in the technology having moved forward. They don't understand it. How will I able to measure it? Or you ESCO, you want to sell us something? Well, guess what? We don't believe you. So it is a big issue for lenders to understand technology. We now need to have more believers and who are bold and who are willing to say, okay, and even if we drop XYZ% on bad loans, we need to do this, otherwise we are doomed. There are many of EU projects, and AAA will come to an end. Where are these tools going to be used? Are they going to be surviving? Is anybody going to keep them alive? Brilliant tools. John and his team and the whole consortium have done a fantastic job. What happens afterward with them? And every child, and I really, as I have a young daughter, we need to make this work for them. Can I have the next slide, please? Now, in order to move the needle, and this might be new ideas, we should introduce in Europe something what the Americans have done for a long time, which are not municipal bonds, but we should introduce green bonds where the coupon does not need to pay income tax. This would allow for lower funding cost and push many measures which today are not financeable to be executed. At the same time, the loss on income tax would easily be compensated on VAT, and not only on that, because there are more people employed, therefore these people who are more employed will be paying more taxes. And this would open a new pool of investors. This could be combined with the crowdfunding initiative where Europe-wise, by I think June of this year, every crowdfunder can propose his ware across the whole EU financial market. So new entrants, and it is households, it is people with children, grandparents who are willing to put their savings into this asset class. Second point, we need to cut red tape. If today you want to do something, a municipality, and we were at a big real estate show recently, we spoke to a mayor of a big town, and he said he has got XYZ real estates to be done. And he started to saying, yes, but I need to tender, I need to do this, I need to do that. We have got no time to lose. We need to facilitate things. We need to have fast speed approval processes so that funds who are raising money can actually deploy that money, that banks who allocate lines to this sector can deploy their money. So the regulator needs to help us and needs to bring in a EU-wide policy. How they are going to do it, I've got no idea, because if you think about it, there in a country like Austria, you are not only having a Austrian building code, but you've got a regional building code for the nine states which Austria is made up. So, and they are different from Salzburg to Carinthia. We need to bring all the participants around a table to collaborate. There might be some carrot and some stick needed here, but we need the manufacturer to be willing to engage here. Today, big manufacturers are very happy to distribute to individual installers, because like that, they have got no big purchaser who is going to push down prices. Lower prices of a given technology will result in a faster payback, a better return, more attractivity to investors, de-risking to investors. Finally, energy savings will not happen in the industrial sector if we are asking people to fund it from their budget. This needs to be paid for by somebody, implemented by somebody. A big investor in this sector once told me, widget manufacturer is not interested in a better lighting system. He is going to believe you if you put the lighting there and you say you pay it yourself and you pay yourself from the savings, he's going to go along. His objective is to produce a better widget. Now, I've mentioned the Super ESCO, which still in Europe is a little bit not so popular, but they could secure via investment vehicles a good balance sheet. They could go out and across Europe come with standardized products. There is, and the discussion is going on, deep restoration versus individual projects. In general, lending banks don't like deep restoration because there are various people involved. If it doesn't work, a certain amount of finger pointing is starting. Banks don't like that. Banks like to get their money back. If Joe Smith installs lights that can be measured, it can be understood, and if there's a certain consumption, there will be a reduction, and the reduction will then pay back the bank. Here, as a service, can be a big help, because actually as a service sells output, and the output can be fine-tuned to the actual need of the bankers, of the financing need of the bankers, so that they know that whatever come, hell or high water, they will receive interest in principle. Last but not least, probably there needs to be a consolidation within the ESCO sector. It needs to have people who are entrepreneurs, who start buying up small ESCOs, create a strong balance sheet, make them attractive, have them on the stock exchange, be able to raise more money to execute on what is in front of us. Could I have the final slide, please? I thank you very much for having listened to me. You've got our data. I've been very, very honored and proud of being part of this advisory group, and looking forward to working with you, John, in due course. Thank you very much.
thank you very much, Csaba, for this inspiring presentation. It's surprising how close are our efforts. For example, next week there will be National Roundtable on financing energy efficiency in the Czech Republic, and there will be 3 main topics of balance sheet financing of energy performance contracts, ESG impact on construction industry, and then blended financial instruments. So clearly linked with the presentation of you and your colleagues in this session. So really thanks to all presenting experts and their inspiring and motivating words. And now I would like give the floor back to Amsterdam from Prague and ask you for the final comments. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jiri. Hello, Prague. This is Amsterdam speaking. Sorry, I had to make the reference. Yeah, also from my side, seriously, thank you, Csaba, from the refreshing perspective and the overview on the stakeholders review. For now, that wraps our event. So all the rest for me to do is a big congratulations and thank you to all the speakers, all the moderators, of course, and all the internal project partners who are with me in the room here in Amsterdam for providing the input they have. It really is, seriously is much appreciated. It has been a long agenda. It's been a long day. I think everyone's tired, even though we had 2 nice coffee breaks, but I think we can have the final conclusion and do a big of a wave goodbye to everyone. Final thing, session slides will be sent around by me in the coming days, probably tomorrow, and the recording will also be made available. So if you want to get in touch, either reach out to the speakers directly, or you can also just always reach out to me and I'll make the dots for you. That's it. Thanks again for your attention. Thanks again for coming, and I hope to stay in touch. Goodbye from Amsterdam.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jiri. Bye-bye.